Stream. Stolen. I wonder if I guess I don't need a nice microphone in here. Stream. Stolen. I wonder if I guess I don't need a nice microphone in here. Stream. Stolen. I wonder if I guess I don't need a nice microphone in here. Stream. Stolen. All right, I feel like I should fix my hair or something. But I have an official phone call. All right, trying to get set up for a Skype phone call from Project Grows. Quit and relaunch Skype to hijack it. I'm gonna put this with the others. Okay. I'm just gonna get all set up and ready to fly when he calls. Mm-hmm. Good. We are ready.
Look how many friends we got on there. It's great.
On Skype?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting there.
It's totally getting there. It's great.
I should pop out the chat. We are here at the corporate headquarters of Hippie Fiasco, and we are about to receive a Skype call from Tyrelle McElroy from Project Grows, who are going to be raising some money for tomorrow night. And maybe we can do the same thing with Bernstein. Firefly, are you still there? Are we, is this working? Can you hear me? Are we rolling? Are we rolling down this road? Check, check, check. I got this movie to inspire me today while we work on this marathon. The Jesse Owens story. Double VHS.
Old school.
Epic. Yes, yes, and yes. Sweet. Oh. The only catch is that when he calls, he might be centered right behind there. How are we going to move the desktop? There he is. Okay, add him to our contacts. There he is. Let's see how this is going to work.
And he shouldn't. Most likely, he's not tuning into the webcast, so we don't have to worry about that.
Right.
You can move the Skype screen over. Can you?
Yeah, but I want to make it full screen so it fills in all of that.
Right.
As long as I don't turn like that.
Right. Can we get hair and makeup down here?
Hair and makeup. All right, here we go. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey, Tyrell. This is Nathan Moore.
Nice. I've heard from Jill. She told me about you.
There
So
you
it's
are.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. All right, I'm actually experimenting with some new technology here. Have you checked out our webcast at all yet?
I have not.
Are you seeing me video-wise?
I do not see you.
You might not be able to. What we're doing right now on our webcast, we're a 24/7 webcast. And right now on our webcast, it says at the bottom, on the phone with Tyrelle McElroy from Project Grows, and I'm on one half of the screen and you're on the other half of the screen. So we're doing a split screen on our show right now. Now what we can do after we get done talking is I can highlight this clip and rebroadcast it tomorrow night during the actual show.
Okay.
We're experimenting with all this new technology, so.
Try to go to Skype and maybe you'll get the video button.
I'm in Skype.
But you know how it pops up in the corner sometimes? It's not doing it apparently.
And I'm trying to figure out how to make you go full screen here. If you want to click, there it is. If you want to click on hippiefiasco.com and mute that channel, then you'll be able to see both of us if you want to get a visualization of what you're performing to.
Okay.
Because this
out.
And I'm hearing word from people watching us that right now you sound weird. What does that mean, Firefly? How weird does he sound? So if you can look at us on our channel and then shift yourself over accordingly to get yourself in the middle of the frame.
Okay.
Maybe if you want.
Now I have your. There we go. Let me change the volume on that there. Okay. Well, I'm getting
a commercial.
Yeah, and they won't let me change the volume on that.
After the commercial, they'll let you.
Okay.
You're a prisoner for 30 seconds. Thank you for your patience.
There we are.
Now we're having some audio issues. Let's see.
What if you unhijack him in Skype and let him just talk through?
That shouldn't sound better. That's for sure.
Okay.
Okay, Tyrell, talk to me again for a second. Try to get the audio right here.
Okay, and I do have the video up now.
Okay, you see yourself?
Yes.
Hello, and you see me now?
Yes.
I'm in the background.
So maybe if you could just shift over just a little bit, it looks like to your left. Should put you in the middle of the screen.
to my left.
There you go.
There you go.
That's perfect. There you go. Now we're talking. Now, if we can get the audio good, we'll be rolling. So talk to us for a second here, and Firefly, if you could tell me what his audio sounds like now.
All right. Can you hear me? And am I still good on your screen, or do I need to change it over?
Need to stay a little bit to your left. Tide Mikey says sounds fine to me. Now maybe a little bit to your right. You can see it on your screen though, right?
Well, there's a little
delay.
bit of lag.
Yeah, there's sometimes a vicious lag.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And we're hearing from the people watching that the audio sounds a lot better.
Okay.
So hello.
Hi.
Did we get that fan off back there? So this is Tyrelle McElroy from Project Grows, and you're not based in Stanton necessarily, right?
Well, Project Grows is what we're trying to do. Is we're going to try to have it as a full county project, so it will actually be Stanton, Waynesboro, and Augusta County. So
right.
There'll be a little piece of Project Grows, hopefully, in each of those communities.
So can you give us a little backstory on how it came to be?
Well, we met, I guess it was late July, to just discuss the direction of our regional task force, which is RPBS, which stands for Regional Partnership for Prevention Services. And we were discussing, what can we do as a coalition to actually do something where we're working together instead of just being an information sharing coalition. And so there was a grant from the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth that was on the table at the time. And so we looked at that and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. And one of the things that came up was a community garden. And then we kind of expanded upon that because community gardens are limited in how long you can actually offer the program. And so we wanted to make sure that we could offer a program that was year-round. And that's how Project Grows came out, because involved with that, there will be greenhouses and we would be able to have a program year-round. And the focus of the project was to prevent kids from becoming obese and also to reduce the number of children that are obese. So just engaging kids into healthy lifestyles is the whole purpose, really, of our Project Grows program. So.
Right, I got you. And you guys have received a grant from Augusta Health that is not just a year long, but more than that. It's a yearly thing. Right?
So we've received now 2 grants. One grant from the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth, which is approximately, I guess I want to say just under $50,000, and then we received and that one's for 21 months, and then we received a 3-year grant from Augusta Health, which is $20,000 for each year, so $60,000 total. So just over $100,000.
That's great.
The grant.
And the first site is going to be at Augusta Health.
What's that?
The first site is going to be at Augusta Health out there.
We're not quite sure where the first site's going to be. That's still up in the air. We're looking at a bunch of potential locations, and there is land at the hospital, and so it would be nice if we were able to do that at the hospital. Since they did fund us, they were one of the original funders of the program, and to have it there, it is very centrally located. So that would be an ideal location. It's just a matter of, working that out and making sure that we're able to have it there.
Right. Now, it seems like to me, just back to the technical thing that we're trying to achieve here, that your words are not lining up with your lips.
No, they're not.
it might be something that we're just going to have to deal with. Anybody out there watching, is that the case for you guys too? Are my words lining up with my lips and his aren't? Or it might be something that we're just going to have to deal with. I might be able to get super geeky when I download this file and edit it for tomorrow night's broadcast. I might be able to line up your words with, yep, Nathan's good, Tyrelle not. Don't take that personally, Tyrelle. I know that your words line up with your lips in real life.
Well, I just wonder, because I'm working on a wireless stream, if that's going to cause a problem or...
Apparently it's tolerable. Maybe just move your lips less when you talk and it'll be less noticeable.
Try.
So, I don't have to air this in its entirety. I can cut and splice, so we don't have to be too awesome at this. So if there's anything that if you have set spiels or anything you want to say, any way you want to put it, then I can edit it later, or I can keep asking questions, or however you'd like to do it.
Well, I mean, my thing is, my idea behind this, and I was one of the ones that, really pushed to have this project happen. And the reason for that is simply because, we do so many things that don't actually have an impact. And I feel that if we're able to get these kids out working in the garden, then we're going to have more of a chance for them to actually look at this healthy food and say, okay, that's something that I can eat, because I put work into it and I grew it. So that's my big thing. And at the community kickoff, I said, the old Chinese proverb, give a man a fish, he eats for the day. You teach a man to fish, he eats, he can eat forever. Well, that's not necessarily true. And that's what I tried to say, is that, I can teach a person to plant food, but if I don't teach that person how to prepare that food, and so that's all part of our process here, is we're going to do all those things. So not only are we going to give people fresh produce, not only are we going to teach people how to, grow this fresh produce, but we're also going to teach them how to prepare it. So it's we're truly trying to go that extra step because there's something that's been missing so often. So we really need to try to tackle that and see what it is. And I think that's that missing link. But then there's also just simply educational pieces. We've been doing that, but now we'll have that physical hands-on aspect of the program as well. So I think that's going to be a big benefit for our youth here in the community.
Right. For me, the reason why when Headcount and Jambase approached us and said we'd like to do a benefit with you guys to increase awareness about what you're doing and stuff, and asked if we'd pick a local charity, and then it was just serendipity that on my dad's coffee table was a sheet explaining what you guys were up to, and immediately I was like, oh, that's perfect, because one thing I talk a lot about is sustainability. I think local sustainability is going to be probably one of the most important issues of our cultural future. I think it's huge. And I have to admit, the one thing I wasn't quite sure about as I read more and more about you guys was the focus on childhood obesity, which I'm now getting my brain around, and it makes more sense and I get it. But I guess I was a little bit, I hope that people appreciate how important it is to our town and our culture, and not just for kids, but the fact that our town grows our own food and can sustain ourselves as things change so much in the future that's coming with oil depletion and all that kind of stuff. I hope that adults don't see the garden just as a thing to keep kids from getting obese, but as something that's important and vital to the community. Is that something that you think about in terms of how it's sold or how it's talked about?
Oh yeah, for me, that's another big part of it. If you look at, like you were saying, with the oil depletions and things like that, if we're not growing these foods here, it's going to put so much stress on the community. Because if you look at if you're not growing fresh produce in your community, where is it coming from? And it's coming from a far, far distance. So And that's one of the things that's not grown in great quantity here in the Shenandoah Valley is produce. And so if we're able to do that and provide it for the community, and that's what we hope to do. And you're right, it's not just for the youth because, I mean, it really is. The goal is to create a multicultural, multi-generational garden. Now,
Right.
obviously, a lot of us that started this project work in that youth field, but we understand that it does impact so many more people, and that is one of the things for me too, is that it's going to impact the community, and with that, it will enable community members to have access to fresh local produce that they, and keeping it at a rate that they can continue to purchase it and not have to go to, the processed foods, because at some point it is going to get way too pricey, and we're going to have to start thinking about what do we need to do. And so Project Rose also wants to teach people, how to grow these things in their own backyard.
Right.
And in that way, not only do we have our greenhouses in our gardens, but we're having kind of like spin-offs there, so the community is truly taking a hold of it, and they're actually doing the same thing and just teaching people that, hey, gardening isn't as hard as it looks, and it's also a really good thing for you. So
Right.
yeah, it's definitely not just we do focus a lot on the youth, but it's not just for the youth. So.
Right. And it's that's a beautiful thing too, and for the kids to learn that knowledge, they are the future. Is to be cliche about it, but it's still just a scientific fact. So eventually they'll be running the show, and if part of this, if the community garden was part of their upbringing and their life, then when they're running the show, then they'll know all about that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. What do you anticipate being the yield of the garden?
I'm not too sure about that. I mean, that's really kind of a toss-up right now, I guess. There's a lot that we still have to learn as a committee, in determining, what's going to happen, even what we're going to grow in the garden. There's a lot that's going to go into this, and this first year that what we're doing is really it's the planning stage, and so we're taking, and that's why we've involved actually so many people in terms of outside of our advisory committee, is involving people that have this gardening experience and know what is able to grow best here in the Shenandoah Valley and specifically Augusta County, and then go from there and just see what happens, and then also determine it'll also be determined on the amount of funding that we are able to generate, because obviously if the bigger the greenhouse that we have as well, that'll definitely make a difference in terms of what we can do throughout the whole year instead of just that growing season. What can we do throughout the whole year, especially in the winter months? Can we still produce at a regular rate?
Right. So as you're out in the community and talking about this project and getting support, what kind of support are you? What kind of reaction are you getting from the local community in terms of? Is it something that there seems to be an awareness for, that there is a necessity for that, or are people still thinking of it as a novel?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's funny is that a lot of people will say, "Well, I thought I've thought of something just like that, and I've been thinking about doing something like that as well." And so, you get these people that are, they had it either in the back of their mind or they just have this natural gardening instinct, so they want to. I mean, so far we haven't had anyone that says, "Oh, this is a terrible idea." So I think that the community has accepted it, and we've had a lot of people that have come to us and said that they would like to help out in any way that they can. So
And that's the same thing that brings us here. Well, the lag just got way worse.
oh, Is there anything that I can do? Do you want me to try plugging in?
Like a DSL line or something?
Yeah, just Ethernet cord into the router.
The geek in me says yes. I'm dying to know if that would help.
Okay, let me find out how I can do this.
Do you want to sign off and call back after you plug in?
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool.
All right.
It's so far so good. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I'll give you a call back.
Okay, great.
Bye.
That's right. Sorry, guys. You guys are getting my audio through Skype. If I had the microphone and Skype hijacked at the same time, there would be an echo. So when he calls back in, I'll have to remember to unmute the built-in microphone so we don't get an echo going on. Can anybody out there, while we're waiting for him to call back in, think of any questions that I should ask him? I'm trying to think of. I don't think he knows enough about Hippie Fiasco to really engage him in that kind of conversation. You love that echo. It's part of Hippie's charm. If anybody has any questions out there that I should ask Tyrelle, I'd be happy and I could use the help. Do you want to be more involved, Chad?
I mean, I can't think of any questions specifically to ask. I mean, sort of would be my involvement. I mean, I would love to. I mean, I fully support what we're doing, but don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, did you do a segment with
And I just asked him about it because one of the things as I was reading about it, I thought that an interesting thing, because I feel that the community gardens are so important for the future of our culture, and it seemed like a big part of the focus of this project was childhood obesity, which I thought was an interesting vantage, as opposed to the fact that we all need to be growing our food. And I hope people don't see the garden and think, oh, that's for fat kids.
right.
As opposed to the future of our community. But maybe, things, a lot of times the back door is a lot easier to go through than the front.
I mean, one thing that I like about it is I like the idea of producing your own food on a small scale in a controlled environment where you're not getting it shipped in, which adds to the cost of it, which was already talked about. But you don't really know what you go to the grocery store. You don't want to know where the oranges you're eating, or you don't know where it comes from. You don't know what the fuck they put on it. You know what I mean? Like they're putting all sorts of waxes on apples and pesticides, and who knows, how unfair their labor scales are, and all that. You don't know what you're supporting when you buy a vegetable at a. Not that I'm saying an orange is a vegetable now. That came off confusing, but you don't know what you're buying when you buy something like that. You know what I mean? And so, I hope that I'm a really big fan of Twinkies, and I hope that they make some Twinkie trees that are grown free trade. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, I don't even like Twinkies. Just riffing. But I really do. I think it's a great idea to know what's coming out of a garden, where it's coming from, and what you're actually ingesting. At least have that choice. You know what I mean? I'm not, I'm not the healthiest eater, but at least if it were an option for me, then I would like to know.
I think Chad would probably react the same way as your kids. Michael says my kids always eat food we grow better than the same food bought at the store.
Right.
They're usually excited to eat the food they grow.
Right.
And yeah, there's something really huge about that, and quite a shift in the imagination.
And there's something amazing with kids and gardens. I really like the idea of it being focused on the youth. One, because what you already talked about, Nathan, that they're growing up and they are going to be the future. But when I was last time I was in DC with my family, my sister and her kids and her husband lived there, and they were looking for some help building a garden so that they could get the kids into that sort of thing, and they could eat their own vegetables that they grew. And so I told them that I would build a garden. I know a lot about that. And so I spent the entire time there, building this thing for them. And I got calls months later. Oh my God, the carrots are ready. The pumpkins came out great. The squashes were delicious. That kind of thing. The squishes. Was that a...
Looks like Tyrell just signed back on.
Okay. Got a call from tech support upstairs. Tyrell is signing back on.
Fear of not having food is a very fundamental fear. It's also a fear I don't think that anybody in our culture's felt in a very, very long time. People come here from other countries and step into a supermarket and their jaws hit the floor.
And Liz talked about that the other day. She was talking about, I can't specifically remember why, but she was talking about how having food all around has changed our society and our dependence on living how we used to live, because everything's available all the time.
All right, well, look at you. All right.
All right, now, how is it?
All right, let me, okay, more,
That same way.
there you go. Are you seeing it on Hippie? It's a little bit more, it's like a mirror.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta go the other way, yeah. There you go.
All right, so I moved. The problem is that I think there's still a lag.
I think there might be too. Philtopia says there's an echo, and
That's
it says
your mic. Did you cut the mic?
No, I did.
Okay.
All right, not as bad now. All right, you need to move the camera a little bit to your left, I think. The other way? The other way, I was wrong. To your right?
Sorry.
That's all right.
I went to my left, but it's actually my right. So
Yeah, a little bit more to your right. That's looking pretty good.
Okay.
Maybe I should slide my chair back so my head is the same size as yours. You are a little dark. You don't have a light in front of you by any chance, do you?
What's that?
You don't have a light in front of you by any chance, do you?
I do have one behind me, but I need more light?
Yeah, you do.
Alright. I got a little light here. How's that? I don't know if that helped any. All right. How am I looking?
It's not too bad. Can you see yourself on Hippie?
Yeah.
It's weird the way light works with all this stuff. Maybe more light behind you isn't a good thing.
Yeah, I tried both ways. I can turn the actual light in the room that I'm in on. 1 second.
There you go. That'll probably do it. Maybe if you cut the light on in the room and pull those shades, it might be better.
Okay, let me get the light. 1 second.
I just want to say for the record, I love this guy. He's really working with us here to make this happen.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, that looks
All right,
nice.
now, how am I looking?
Much better.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't think that you do need to move the camera a little bit.
The same way you did last
The
time.
same way you did last time, to your right.
All right. No, I did it to the right this time, and it doesn't.
There you go.
There you go. No, a little bit more. It went back. Nope. The other way. Wait, no, you're right. You're right. It's working.
Well, I don't know what the why the lag is still there, because I did a
Just a little bit more to the right, and you'll be perfect. There you go.
Okay.
Now we're on. Now we're talking.
I checked the speed of the internet, and it said that it's good, and I'm plugged in, so I don't know why it's still so slow.
It could be our end, because we got the Skype coming in and our stream going out, and at that point, who knows where the latency's coming from?
Right.
But let's see, where were we? We got some people that are commenting that are watching us, and I don't know if there's any pointed questions, but just to read you a little bit of it. Philtopia says, so I just joined in, but I'd like to know who will be using the garden. Is this about lots of gardens? And then went on to comment to say, when you know how to grow your own food, even when you know that you can, just knowing that you can grow your own food makes a huge difference in a person's mindset and self-awareness.
Well, to answer the first part, the people that will be using it, I know a lot of it's going to be the youth that are involved in the actual program and the delivery of the program, but we will offer the program so when we produce food, we will sell the food, hopefully at farmers markets, and hopefully we'll be able to sell it to local restaurants. But we also plan to involve the parents of the kids, because we do look to serve the underprivileged, a lot of that community, so bringing them in and teaching them how to prepare the food. Because a lot of kids aren't going to be cooking, but we will work with them with simple recipes, but also showing, like having an instructional kitchen for community members to come in and learn from different folks on how to prepare food with fresh produce. So some simple recipes and things like that they can take home and do very easily. So
I know that like my dad always comments that he'll go through these waves where he tries to eat healthier and things like that, and he starts going to the farmers market and buying food down there, and eventually just the prices are prohibitive to him, really changing his mindset about what he eats, and the
Right.
farmers market food is more of a luxury than a sustainability. Is that something you guys are thinking about?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like I said, we want to make sure that we are serving the underprivileged, and that's the problem with why I work for the Boys and Girls Club, so a lot of not every single kid that comes to the club is low income, but there are families that come to the club that are low income, and in order for those individuals aren't going to the farmers market at all, so because they know that even for one day, they're not going to be able to purchase the food from the farmers market, because it does get pricey, and even when you go to the grocery store, the prices are even higher for the fresh produce. So what we do want to do is make it affordable for people to actually be able to purchase it. And one of the other things that we plan on doing is allowing for the WIC and SNAP programs, so the food stamps and those, to be accepted with our program.
No, that's
because
great.
in that way we can allow these people to have access to the food as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean that is the big difference, because fresh produce does not have to be expensive. So it's hard though when you're a farmer and you're trying to provide for your family. It makes it difficult because the work that you put into that yield, it does cost you a lot. So you do have to definitely make up for that cost. So what we're trying to do is produce food at a low cost, and with also, because we're trying to become a nonprofit, hopefully through grant funding and other means, we'll be able to provide this food at a lower cost.
Right.
Not trying to compete with local farmers, but just making the food more accessible to everyone.
Is that a possible point of contention? The local farmer competitive idea?
Well, that's something that we're keeping in our heads, because we don't want to do that, and so that's why we've tried to involve local farmers in this process of planning and make sure that what we're doing does not impact what they're doing. But again, like I said, locally here, produce isn't a big agricultural means of what is going on in terms of agriculture here in Augusta County. It's not produce. It's more livestock, dairy, and then, a lot of folks are doing eggs and things like that. There are people that do have produce, but it's not a big portion. But we still are just conscious of that and making sure that we aren't, taking out a local farmer because of our project. So
right. Melinda in Austin says, Tyrelle, thanks for this. In Austin, we have a program, American Youth Works, that lets kids learn to sustain themselves through growing food and building energy-efficient housing. The future may hold amazing opportunities for public schools to integrate this sort of program. As it produces a major increase in science and math scores. Somehow there's a kinetic correlation, or a kinesthetic, I don't even know that word, Melinda, kinesthetic correlation in working with the hands in math. I'm not sure that's a question. It might just be a statement. Does it ring any bells for you?
Well, I don't know. I do know that there is a correlation in terms of, what we're doing in a garden type setting. It does have positive impact on SOL scores, which is Virginia's standards of learning, their assessment tests, and it does impact those scores dramatically, especially the math and science. I don't know that. I didn't know personally that it was because of the physical nature of the garden that increased those math scores, but I always was under the impression that, when you're working in the garden, there's things that you're doing that involves the math process. So, how much, fertilizer to soil type deal and all those types of things. And again, I'm not a gardener. I'm one that, I grow, here at my house, I grow, my Thai basil and, got some tomatoes growing out there that I had just planted, and some jalapenos and things like that. But by no stretch am I a gardener or a farmer. So there's a lot that I still have to learn, but I do know that there are a lot of positive things that come from gardening, and not only in terms of in the grade, in health wise, or in terms of school, but just mentally as well. So that's one of the things that we're also going to be focusing on is that it also impacts the mental health of individuals involved in gardening.
Right. Probably remarkably so. She says, this might be a new word we can both add to our vocabulary. The kinesthetic, it means touch learner, learning by using the hands and body. After 1 year in Austin, we had a 69% increase in math scores on the state test. Wish we could teach kids to. Oh wait, Melinda. She veered off into growing hemp.
Gotcha.
The danger of live shows.
Oh, the danger of live shows. So I know, I have a lot of organic farmer friends, mostly in California. It seems to be a pretty big movement out there with people getting involved in organic growing and things like that. And without fail, everywhere I go, if I meet an organic farmer and I tell them where I live in Swope, Virginia, the first thing that comes, they always jump and they say, "Oh my goodness, do you know Polyface?"
Polyface. Yeah. Everyone seems to know Polyface. I have even my brother-in-law who lives in Florida. What he's been doing is he does some of the aquaculture stuff in Haiti. He adopted 2 boys from Haiti, and they're very involved in Haiti. And when they come up here, they're like, "Can we go to Polyface Farms?" So he's definitely had an impact across the nation. I mean, Joel does tours across the nation, so I don't even know how much he's on his farm anymore, but I do know that he's across the nation trying to preach this whole grow your own food and do it in your backyard, because he's one that is really big on, eventually, the whole peak oil concept that, eventually you're not going to be able to buy, just like gas prices are going up, so will that food cost. And so I think that's one of his big things is that, it's not as difficult as people make it out to be. And also, if you can't do it, support your local growers.
Right.
And make sure that, they are being supported so that they can stay in business, and then you can keep your prices down, or relatively down.
Right.
So, but yeah, Joel Salatin has become
he's definitely a celebrity.
Quite the phenomenon. Yeah. So,
is that an asset to what you guys are doing in any way?
Well, I think so. I think with his appeal, it may to do something if we can get him involved in some way to work with the kids as well. I mean, that's going to draw attention. Whatever you do here agriculturally in Augusta County or the Shenandoah Valley, people are going to think Joel Salatin right away.
Right.
So,
is he aware of you guys? Are you guys in communication at all?
We have had one of our the program coordinator from Big Brother Big Sister, Marta Zuba. She's actually been in contact with Joel. And we're actually trying to get him to come out to some of our advisory committee meetings and maybe just give us some words of wisdom.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, this has been great. I think we have enough. If there's at the same time, I got plenty of time here. If there's anything else you want to say for the edit that I'm going to make, the forum is yours.
Well, I just think that I just want to say that there's so many people that are involved with this, and so I think that's the biggest thing. And I don't know that Augusta County has ever seen anything like this because the partnerships are so big. I mean, you have Augusta Health. Not only do they grant funding, but they also have an employee that's working on the committee with us. We have Valley Community Service Board, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Department of Social Services, Head Start, Boys and Girls Club, Office on Youth, Mary Baldwin College. I mean, there's just so many people. Now, probably Virginia Cooperative Extension. There's just so many people that are, a part of this, and it just makes it, feel like it can happen, because it can't, here's this idea, and then, to get this many people involved, so many ideas just fall to the wayside because no one wants to be involved with it or make it happen, or they think it's a great idea, but they don't want to put the resources behind it. And I think